Hey students, this is lesson 621, slope-intercept form of a line. This should be a review for a lot of you, but a good review because this is kind of an important deal. So here, go ahead and see what you remember. Do this quick review here. You can check back for your answers. This is a good little review of linear situation. You know it's linear because the line is straight. And from this, you can get all the information you need for a slope-intercept form. Here it is, y equals mx plus b. The m is the slope, what the rate the line is going up. And b is the y-intercept, where it starts. So we're looking for when x equals 0, y equals b. So if you look at this graph, you'll notice it starts at 20. So in this graph, y equals, the y-intercept is 20. So that's part of our equation. So we have to need something times x plus 20. And the coefficient of x in the equation, the thing we multiply by x, is the rate it goes up. Now, if you look closely at this, it looks like points like that. And if you don't look at the scale, it looks like you're going up 1 for every 2 you go over. But you got to be careful. With the scale here, we're actually going, when we go up 1, we're going up 10 for every 10 we go over. And if you remember slope, we use the letter m for that, is rise divided by run on a graph. And the rise here is 10, and the run is 10, so the slope is 1. So we need to multiply 1 times x plus 20, and 1 times x, we would just write that as x plus 20. So the basic linear equation we can write by just multiplying something times x and adding the y-intercept. All right, and that's what this concept review is. If you look at it, the 4 is the slope. In the equation, we call that the coefficient. The 6 is the y-intercept. That's the value of y when x is 0. So it's really the 0.06 on the graph. And when we put that all together, we call this the slope-intercept form of the line. So if we just think about those values, 4 being the slope, 6 being the y-intercept, if we look at this equation in problem 1, this 3 is the coefficient in the equation, and that is the slope. So our slope is 3. And our y-intercept is whatever we're adding on, and here we're adding 6. This one we have to change this to adding -6 to see that the y-intercept is -6. And actually that's the point on the graph 0, where x is 0, y is -6. Okay? Go ahead, you can do the next one. You should say that slope is 5, y-intercept is -2. Okay? So now if we want to write an equation where we know that the slope is 5 and the y-intercept is 8, all we have to do is substitute those for the right values here. That's our slope. That's our y-intercept. So we're going to write the slope is 5. We're going to write y equals 5x plus, and then all we need is our y-intercept, which is 8. And that's the equation. All right. Go ahead and do problem 2 on your own. You can check back for the answer. All right, check your answer. Problem 3, writing equation from a graph. We can use our what we know about the graph and the equation to help us write this. We know that that this m is the slope when it's graphed, and this b is the y-intercept when it's graphed. So if we look closely at this graph, look for where it crosses the y-axis, which is this axis here. We see it crosses it at -2. Well, that's your b. So we got the y-intercept now, we just need to find the slope. And if you look closely, it looks like we're crossing some grid lines right there and there. And we can find the slope. One way we could do it is just to find 2 points and then use our slope formula. I think I'll do that so we practice a little. This point here is 1, 1. This point here is 2, 4. The slope formula is subtract your y values, subtract your x values, and divide them. So my y values are 4 and 1. My x values are 2 and 1. And 4 minus 1 is 3. 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 divided by 1 equals 3. That's my m. So I need an equation that has -3 for the slope, or +3 for the slope, sorry. So that means I can cross off those two. And then my y-intercept has to be -2. This y-intercept is +2, so my answer is A. Go ahead, you can try problem 3 and you can check back for the answers. However you would use these 2 points. Go ahead and pause and see if you can't figure out the rest. All right, another thing you should be able to do, but maybe need a little review on that, is how you write an equation from 2 points. When you have 2 points, you have to use those 2 points to find the slope, and you're going to use the slope formula to do that. That's this formula. And then once you have that, we're going to substitute values in for the variables and use that information to find the y-intercept. So start by plugging in these values for the slope. So first we want to find the slope. The second step we're going to do is solve for b. Then we can write the slope-intercept form. That's the third step. So if you want to pause here and just put in the numbers, and you can restart the video just to see if you're right. Now what we want to do is substitute the values that we have in there. We have values for x and y right here or right here. I'm going to use this value. So I'm going to use the point 1, -3. Remember that the 1 represents an x value and the -3 represents a y value. And we know that m is equal to 0.5. We got that. So I'm going to substitute into this formula all I know. And what I'm going to be missing is the y-intercept. So my y value is -3. My slope is 0.5. That needs to be multiplied by x, which is 1. And just simplifying this, 1/2 times 1 is 1/2. And then I'm just going to subtract 0.5 from both sides. And that equals -3.5. And that's b, which is my y-intercept. So I have everything I need now, my y-intercept and my slope. I put my slope right here, 0.5x, and my y-intercept is -3.5. I would actually write it a little simpler than that, 0.5x minus 3.5 instead of plus -3.5. All right? So problem 4 here gives you a little practice. Go ahead and do that. See if you can figure it out. Remember, first find the slope. Use the slope formula. Number 2, find the y-intercept by substituting known values into this equation, y equals mx plus b. Find b. And then the third thing you're going to do is write the equation. Go ahead and try that. Pause now, and you can check back, see if you got the right answer. All right, and one thing you should do to check your answers, you should actually make sure these points work in here for y and x, and that it makes a true statement. So if I put -6 where this y is, so I'm using this point here, and then I take -4 times my x value, which is 1, that's that, and I subtract 2, so that should be true. So is -6 equal to -4 minus 2? And that is true. So we just checked it there. All right. We can use this form also to graph a linear equation. Remember that we have some information in this equation. That the coefficient of x is the slope, and in this case that's 1/2, which is 0.5 if we want to use the decimal. And then we also know the y-intercept, which is what we're adding, so I'm just changing that to adding a negative so we can see that b is -1. And what that is on our graph, that's this point. I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. That's the point 0, -1. So I'm just going to make a quick table here of x and y values. I know one point is 0, -1, that's the y-intercept. And my slope tells me how much my y value goes up every time x goes up by 1. So it's going up 0.5. -1 plus 0.5 is -0.5. If I go up another 1, I'm going to add another 0.5. That'll put me at 0. If I go up another 1, that'll put me at positive 0.5. And I'll just do one more for 1. And I'm not going to try and graph those halves, but I'm going to graph this one, and that should give me enough to go by. So I have a point at 2, 0, which is right there, and I have a point at 4, 1, which is right there. And now I can draw a straight line through all those points. And that's how you graph an equation when you're given an equation in slope-intercept form. All right, this is the last part of the video that we're going to do. And all I'd like you to do here is to try and graph this equation, -3x plus 4. You can pause right now and then you can check back for your answer. All right, here's your answers. That's what your graph should look like. Notice this, once you know the slope -3 means that every time x goes up by 1, y decreases by 3. So notice here, x, I'm adding 1 each time, and y, I'm subtracting 3 each time. You can get another point if you want. Go up 1 here, down 3 here. So I should also have a point at 3, -5, which is right there. All right, so this is going to end part 1 of lesson 621, and you can do the second part tomorrow. See you.